We all know just how powerful video is as a medium for connecting with your audience, for teaching, and for making sales as well. We've also all seen just how viral YouTube can be and how it can get you in front of an audience of billions of people and totally transform your business overnight if you have one of those big channel success stories. Now, as an online educator, you may well have done a bit of YouTube in the past. You've certainly seen other people do it, but it's relatively rare for me to meet people who know how to build video production teams so that as a founder, they can grow a video media property while stepping back themselves and not being involved. That's what I'm going to show you how to do today. I'm going to show you what to do. What am I talking about? I'm going to show you how to do that today. And if you are interested in this topic, please like this video and subscribe to the channel as well. I'm going to send you a lot more stuff for online education entrepreneurs. So how to build video production teams. Now the first thing, what shall I show you? Let me show you this first. So a bit of background. So my main business is called StoryLearning.com. It's a B2C company where we teach foreign languages. And here you can see my main channel. This is from a screenshot in the past. It gives you an idea. I think around the time this was taken, we had around 305,000 subscribers. And you can see it's all me. Now, I'm actually not all that involved in the process. I'm more like the face of the channel. But nevertheless, it kind of relies on me, right? And you can see here also, just to put a pin in the value of this, you know, hundreds of thousands of views on these videos. So it works, right? But I knew that wasn't a good long-term solution. So at a certain point in time, we began a separate Spanish channel where rather than talking about general languages, it's just focused on Spanish. This channel you can see here is all run by these lovely people, and I'm not involved. I'm not involved in the channel itself. I'm not involved in the production process. I don't get involved in anything other than checking in once every quarter to see how it's going. So we've actually done this transition successfully, and this is largely what I'm going to be showing you today, how to actually go about this, because I think some of the lessons we've learned from doing this have been really good, and I'm going to show you some of the pitfalls to avoid. But the first thing to say is it is a slow process. Building a YouTube channel at the best of times is a slow process. Often I think the hero of the channel can, like I am in this example, can really accelerate the growth because people who are good on video tend to have that kind of star power that allows people to bond with them. It can create that more explosive growth. Generally, channels which are staffed by other people don't have that same kind of bond, right? Which means they take a long time. YouTube takes a long time anyway. Building channels like this is a long-term investment, and it's really important to understand this because if you look at the return profile of building a media property, what you're really talking about is let's say that this red line here is investment, and you're going to spend say 10K a month building up the channel. Your cost is going to go like this. Well, in fact, it's probably, to be fair, probably more like this over time in terms of cumulative cost that you're sinking into the channel. And then the return in terms of that thing actually growing or paying you back is much more like this. It doesn't keep pace for a long time, and then you get that exponential hockey stick. This is what happens with media properties, especially on YouTube, especially with video. And so one of the things that's really important, we'll talk about this later, is the mindset going in, thinking to yourself, this is not something that's going to blow up overnight. This is something I have to put serious resources into. And I wouldn't even think about starting a second channel that's staffed by other people unless you're bringing in at least $500,000 a year in revenue, probably much more. Nevertheless, knowing how to do it will set you up well for the future. So the objections I normally, when I talk to friends about this and they ask how to do it, the questions that normally come to mind are, how do I find people to actually be the face of my channel in the first place? How do I convince them to do it for me and not to do it for themselves? Channel management, how do you even organize all of this stuff? Surely it's just a full-time job. And then lastly, why would they stick around? I mean, how do you prevent people from doing it for 6 months and then leaving and then taking your channel with them in effect? So when it comes to finding people, my approach to this usually is to say, right, we want to avoid a kind of key man risk, right? So we don't want to have one person who can quit and then the channel disappears. So my approach to starting a new channel is to get 5 people under contract to produce 4 videos each a month, right? So 5 people making 4 videos each a month, that equals times, what am I doing? I can't write today. 5 people making 4 videos each a month equals 20 videos a month. or in other words, one video a day, Monday to Friday. And the reason you want to do this is because you want to avoid a situation where one person leaves. It gives you a bit of stability. But also importantly, you don't know what's going to work. And so by having 5 different people creating different kinds of videos, what you're doing is you're optimizing for experimentation. And then what you do is you look for the types of content that work, and then over time you double down on that, and you get much narrower with the type of content that you create, and this allows for that to happen. Now, in terms of how to convince them, this is simply about incentives. Like what entrepreneurs like us don't understand is that most people are not like us. We are fewer than, I don't know, 2 to 5% of the population. Most people are very, very happy doing something they enjoy when they are paid fairly. So simply the thing to do here is just to be very clear about the output. Like, I need you to do 1 video a week. We're going to pay you X amount per video. And as provided that you are clear about the terms and the expectations, then it's totally possible to find people. In terms of where to find people, when we started our Spanish channel, we found everybody on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where everybody is these days if they're looking for work. And if I can find people from all around the world to do Spanish specific language content, I'm sure you can find people for whatever it is that you want to do. In terms of, let's skip to this last one actually, will they stick around? One of the things that we do with our channel is that we actually allocate all AdSense revenue to the presenters of the channel. So over time, as the channel grows, they keep all of that AdSense revenue. That's a really big incentive for them, because they know that if they're happy with the terms as they are, they're getting fairly paid from month to month, they enjoy the work, then they know that for the longer they stick around for, the more they're going to make, because when the channel starts to get bigger, they're going to get all of that AdSense revenue as well. So that's one of the things we do to help people, to convince people to stick around. Shout out to Noah Kagan for that idea. It's brilliant. And then lastly, channel management. This is really important, because let's assume you find the people to do it. You kind of convince them that they are, you convince them to do it. You give attractive terms. You convince them to stick around. You've done your job properly there. You've still got the channel to manage. One thing is actually the creative stuff, filming the videos. Another thing that I recommend you keep separate is the production side. It's the editing, the titles, the thumbnails, the uploading and hitting publish on YouTube. This I create as a separate role. So I have a producer role, and the role of the producer is to organize all of that stuff. Now, in terms of output, they have one very specific remit, which is publish 1 video a day or 5 videos a week or whatever it may be. The output is 5 videos a week, and then everything else. How you do that is up to you. How you want to manage the team, how you want to go about designing the thumbnails and the titles, and all of that stuff is up to you. But your basic output is something like 5 videos per week. And I always, with any kind of work really, I always frame a role in terms of the output required, and then leave it up to them to figure out how to do it. If you hired well in the first place, people should be able to figure that out. And obviously there's quality control within that, so if the thumbnails they're making are useless, then we have to fix that. But again, if you've hired properly, then that shouldn't be happening. Okay. So this is how I go about it. 5 people under contract to make 4 videos per month. Pay them properly. Incentivize them to stick around, and then have someone whose role it is to manage the channel. Now this is expensive, as you can tell, it's not cheap, but if you've got the budget for it and you can commit to that budget for at least 2 years, then with that producer role, you are then able to stand back and not actually have any active involvement. Like I say, I check in on the channel every sort of 3 to 6 months, literally, to sort of see how it's going, to discuss, look for ways to improve it. But essentially what you're doing with YouTube, assuming that the quality is there, you're playing a time game, right? But I fully expect when this channel is about 2 years in for it to be at a really decent size, driving good revenue, etc., etc. And then when it comes to strategy, I've covered a fair amount of this already actually, but with the talent, you obviously have to make sure you get the right people, like we've talked about, and you want to make sure that they're properly incentivized. you also want to make sure that the channel as its own project has very, very clear ownership. If you want to do it yourself, that's fine. Be warned, it's a lot of kind of drudgery and admin work involved in managing people and uploading videos like that. But the other thing you're going to need in order for this to work is some kind of brand frameworks, because the question that you're probably going to have is, well, how do I know that they're going to make content that is of my quality, the content that my business needs, that my brand needs? How do I make sure that the stuff they're going to make is actually good? So answer number one is you're hiring for that kind of person in the first place, remember. So job number one is hire people who are capable of doing this stuff. But also, you need to be able to lay out very clear expectations. So once you've got the talent who are capable of doing this, you've got to make it very clear to the whole team, what is it that we're trying to achieve with this channel exactly? So in the case of the Story Learning Spanish channel, we want to make videos that tell stories in simple Spanish in under 10 minutes that are on topics that are going to appeal to a US and UK audience. That's basically it. And then we want to put out one video a day. I think we're actually doing 3 per week. We're kind of experimenting with the actual volume there. But we need to make sure that everyone knows what it is that we're trying to achieve with the channel. We want to make it very clear who the audience is. So in our case, it is native English speakers who are learning Spanish and are at a fairly low level. All right, so if everybody knows what the output we're trying to aim for, the exact audience that we're making content for, and then the brand DNA. So what exactly, what makes this different? In the case of story learning, we teach languages through stories, and so what I need to make sure that the people who are making the videos know is that we teach with a certain methodology. But all of this can be laid out up front. You can sit down and train people on this. But with that upfront work, providing that all of this is clear, what you really want to do then is get out of the way and let the people that you've hired work their magic. People work best when they have freedom and creativity. So it's this combination of finding the right talent, people who are capable and have the aptitude of doing this in the first place, and then real clarity over expectations in terms of outcomes. If you get this in place, then this is what buys you the freedom to be able to step back. Right? As with so many things, it's often a kind of who question, not a what question. Right? So everything begins with who. Who are the right people to actually fulfill these jobs? And then once you've got those people, then it's like, right, here are the expectations, go and do your thing. And yes, a big part of that involves actually leaving space for them to make mistakes and screw up. But that's the way that you create this kind of real internal knowledge within the company that can kind of stay with you. So tips in terms of doing this. All right, so first of all, like I've just said, hire for aptitude. This is so important. Don't try and cheap out on this. Don't hire people because they're cheaper. You've got to get people who are going to be able to run with it and figure things out themselves. That's how you buy your freedom, which is so important, so that when you scale the company, your time investment personally doesn't scale with it. So hire for aptitude first. Then once you've done that, train them on the brand and the content. So you get them making the content along the lines that you need to. Set very, very clear deliverables so that everybody knows exactly what it is that they are responsible for producing each week or each month. And then lastly, this is the key, get the hell out of the way. Don't meddle. If you've got the right people in the first place, give them the breathing space they need to actually get on with it and do the thing. And that's exactly what we've done with our channels. You can go and check it out. It's called Story Learning Spanish. See how it's doing. Depending on when you're seeing this, it may be a small channel or hopefully a big channel. Who knows? If you've enjoyed this, my name is Ollie Richards. I create newsletters. I write newsletters for online education entrepreneurs. If you'd like to go and join the newsletter, you can find it at ollierichards.co, where you can also download a 117-page case study of how I grew my business Story Learning to a fairly modest amount. It's there for free to download it. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, And if you do make a YouTube channel with other people, tell them to tell their audience to subscribe to the channel and like the video. It sounds small, but actually it makes a really big difference. So do that, right? Do me a favor, do that.